We have no intro music today, but thank you for coming on this Sunday evening. I am your host, Aaron Gardner, the managing editor of RedState.com. I am joined, as always, by Joseph Cunningham this weekend. We have a light crew this weekend because Thomas LaDuke is actually in a power outage up there in Michigan, and he's unable to join us right now because his equipment is down. But we also have a special guest. Many of you know him from Twitter for some great pictures that he's put up. He's also a police officer, or are you still a police officer?
No. I was a sheriff's deputy. I'm not involved.
Sheriff's deputy. I apologize for that. And all-around good guy. And he's also on the radio with 405 Media. So you should check him out. That's Matt Hops. And I want to welcome him to the show as well. Go ahead and let the people know what your Twitter handle is real quick.
Matt Hops 82.
And speaking of Twitter, you can also find us in the conversation on Twitter at hashtag RSWB. I hate that I have to say hashtag, but if I said #, half of you wouldn't get what I'm talking about. So, if you're not bedding down to see Downton Abbey as Jeff is with his wife, or watching football as many other people are, and you're actually joining us here tonight, I want to thank you and let you know right up front, we're going to be talking about 3 specific issues this weekend. We're going to be talking about the issues that cropped up this past week over the New Year's with Representative Scalise and what appears to be a Democrat hit job that was put on him just before the new Republican Congress is ready to take seat. We also are going to discuss the leadership election with Representative Louis Gohmert throwing his hat into the ring against Speaker Boehner. And we're also going to speak a little bit about the issues surrounding the New York Police Department and everything that's gone on there, along with Bill de Blasio and what has been happening ever since the Aaron Gardner case. I also want you to know that Caleb is producing the show for us tonight. Caleb Howe is on the back end producing the show. He's going to make sure to note and catalog every single thing that I do incorrect on the show. And then at the end, hopefully, he'll have a clean shirt on and could come on and critique me for my part. We'll do that in the very last segment just for fun. But let's go ahead and jump first right into the Scalise story. Joe, I want to bring you into this first because you are a constituent. You live in Louisiana. You've been down there. You've seen how the sausage is made, and you definitely didn't like this story. And just to give everybody some background, those who haven't heard, the idea is that Representative Scalise in 2002 attended a white nationalist conference and spoke to them. That's what was originally said. It turns out that that's probably not the truth. What happened was he spoke to a community group hours and hours before this white nationalist conference occurred, and it just happened to be in the same place. Now, to muddy the waters a bit, Representative Scalise, he actually came out and apologized for speaking to this conference, using words that gave him some plausible deniability at the same time. So, Joe, let's go ahead and jump into it with you. You live down there. I mean, you know the stories about David Duke. You know what's gone on down there with Edwin Edwards, and vote for the crook, it's important, all that stuff. So tell me, how does this pop up 10 12 years after the fact and have nobody beforehand have brought it up?
The story goes back to the person that Steve Scalise beat in a race more than a decade ago. I forget this particular politician's name. Beat this politician by about by more than 50%. It was what we now it's a damn good show, Caleb. Project Runway. Watch it Thursday nights, 8 Eastern. Anyway, or is it 9 Eastern? One of those. Anyway, Scalise beat this particular politician by more than points, and it got it was so terrible that this person held on to a little piece of trivia on Steve Scalise, and then just recently handed it over to a Louisiana blogger by the name of Lamar White Jr. Lamar White Jr. Sin Lamar, something like that, is the blog site. If you'll excuse the language, is pretty gosh darn dumb and has been wrong on several things like over the years. Like, this is not a very bright person. So to take this story and run with it tends to be about as truthful. You expect to be about as truthful as possible. And so anyway, he gets this story and pushes it out over a weekend, and then the following week, it's like the weekend after Christmas, news media runs with, because of course the news media is going to run with anything that has racism in it when a Republican's involved. And for the first time in many years, we get David Duke back in the news. David Duke is a guy who ran for governor against Edwin Edwards. Like you said, vote for the crook. It's important. Edwin Edwards is a felon who ran actually for Bill Cassidy's seat and lost tremendously when Cassidy went to run against Mary Landrieu. Edwards is a felon former governor who beat David Duke in this particular election. It should be noted, by the way, that Duke ran as a Republican but was not the party's choice. So what we got were a bunch of Republicans. This guy ran as a Republican.
It should also be noted that the Republican choice, the choice who came out of the convention, I believe they got something somewhere in the range of 8% of the primary vote. So that should be noted as well.
And Duke, I'm going to throw this out there just to troll some folks. Duke got his votes the same way Tad Cochran did in Mississippi, with a bunch of Democratic crossover vote. And it's a little easier to do in Louisiana because it's an open primary. Everybody is all in. Just thought it would be, just thought that should be noted. So anyway, Duke is a guy who ran for governor and lost. He ran for other political offices and lost. The last news story about him before this was him being arrested in the Czech Republic but released, and the Swiss formally asked Italy to ban him from their borders. He's kind of off the radar for a while, has a tremendous looking pedophile beard, which will be posted to the RedState Weekly Briefing Twitter account later. Just
Glass
so you guys
houses,
can see.
Joe. Glass houses.
Mine is a lot better than his.
The bird just flew out of it.
I will do a side by side later just to show you guys the difference between our two beards. Anyway, so we get this story about Scalise, taking the long route back to this story. Scalise.
I'm sorry, you burned up all the time talking about Duke. Matt, what do you think about this Scalise story?
I think it's just another waste of our time story that people are just trying to do whatever they can to put throw a Republican under the bus, or just, do I think that he should be in leadership after this? I don't know, because it keeps conflicting. Like, it's weird that he would come out and apologize if he wasn't actually there. That just is weird. So
well, on competency alone, you got to question whether or not he should be in leadership at this point. Just on competency alone. Now, me personally,
well, that's my question for all of them.
I've wanted him gone from leadership, but not because of the racism charge, which I figured was probably BS. But I want him cut because he's not conservative.
It happens, but the thing is if we dropped everybody for who anybody on the left calls racist, we wouldn't even have a party at all. There would be nobody in leadership. And I agree with you. I think that all the leadership is terrible that we have right now. But I just think that it's a big nothing. I think that they're just trying to go after him. If this is the way to get him out of leadership, all right, that's fine with me. But I do think that it's a nothing, and it's just them throwing something out there, trying to see if anything sticks. They've had so many bad stories, and it's just been such a bad time to be a Democrat in the news. They're going to do anything they can. I mean, we've seen some of the dumbest stories lately, to do anything they can to take the focus off of them.
Well, I think we've seen the Democrats, sticking their hand on the burner and getting burned a lot here lately. With the Lena Dunham story, it turns out that it wasn't a Republican that raped her. It was actually a Democrat who may have raped her, if there was ever even a rape that occurred. And then we also have the stories that came out of what was it? UVA that turned out to be 100% fabricated from everything that I've read. So the Democrats and their memes have been taking a beating here lately. Now this one was interesting because while we did have the typical Democrats, making their statements and doing their thing, we also had conservatives who were seizing the opportunity to make the leadership play by its own rules. Going back to some of the primary fights, we saw people accusing Matt Bevin of being a racist. We saw people, we saw the NRSC, I should say, saying that Matt Bevin was a racist, saying that McDaniel was a racist, saying that Wolf was a racist. And now that we have this incident where, by their own rules, they would say that Scalise is a racist and that he shouldn't challenge an incumbent for any seat. And I'm wondering, do we need to die on that hill as conservatives and say yes, make them live up to their own rules, their own standards, or do we need to all take a step back and say, you know what, let's quit dancing to everybody's little drummer boy music, and let's just forget about this stuff, and let's talk about philosophies and the ideologies, because these are all just proxy wars for that.
I'm with you on the latter. I think that you should just ignore the petty stuff. Don't pay attention to the small hills. There's better hills to die on, and you just ignore the small nonsense, because all it is a ploy for them to drag us into some murky water of some stupid topic to speak about. And it's pointless, and it wastes our time talking about real things that we could be working on, or things like, going out there and talking about the ideas that we have moving forward with the new Congress, or the fact that we've had so many minorities and women elected in the Republican Party, and it just bogs us down with something stupid that's wasting our time.
You're right, and I honestly think that the incompetency with which leadership and Scalise handled this has really exposed the fact that they're not really prepared to go into this new session. And maybe that's why they did a continuing resolution that pushed everything all the way out to 2015. But on that note, let me go back over to you, Joe. What do you think? What impact is this going to have now on the leadership elections going in? We have a freshman president from my state, Ken Buck. He is a conservative guy, and he is going to vote on principle. And I highly doubt that he's going to be voting for a Speaker Boehner in the coming weeks. So, how do you think this impacts this, Joe?
Well, I don't think that Steve Scalise needs to be in leadership if the way his team handled this situation is the way his team is going to handle situations. You're going to mess up a message this badly, just, back out and just gracefully back out. If nothing else, tell Boehner and McCarthy, look, this was a crisis that we handled poorly, so I say that, find somebody else to be the whip for you here. Now, is that going to happen?
Scalise backing, well, let me ask you this. Does Scalise backing out end up, sparing Boehner and McCarthy from any of the blowback from this? Because, obviously, you got to know that Boehner and his staff and McCarthy and his staff were breathing down Scalise's neck that day, telling him just to apologize and move on, isolate it, and go. And honestly, that's not always the correct answer.
Well, in a just world, the fact that these guys were standing behind Scalise and everything, and they proved vindicated. It seems like they handled things as best they could. So from a strategic perspective, being able to handle a crisis like this, I think Boehner and McCarthy actually did a somewhat decent job by not being behind him if Scalise had done it, but not not abandoning, not throwing him under the bus right then and there. At the same token, again, basically, Scalise was handpicked by Boehner to run the Republican Study Committee and run it into the ground, and he's been given another great position for somebody in the House. So whatever happens to Scalise should be a reflection on Boehner, because he was chosen by Boehner for all these spots. Will it actually affect him? Probably not, because Boehner, like Mitch McConnell, like it or not, is pretty skillful in what he does in terms of keeping his power.
Now, okay, as far as that goes, that's a perfect segue for us to move into our next segment, which is about the speaker election specifically, and the fact that just today Louis Gohmert has thrown his hat into the ring, and basically by the email that announced this, we see that he has the backing of Bridenstine. So with that, and the fact that only 29 votes are needed to basically throw an election into chaos because of the rules, is it really possible that we could see a Speaker Boehner get trumped? Could we see a revolt get spawned by 29 votes?
No.
Now, tell me why you say that, Matt, because I have, of course, our website has one point of view on this, and yours is more than likely different than our editors.
Yeah, I know your editors. No, I don't think so. I think that the one reason that John Boehner is in power is because he's really, really good at what he does. People don't like him. I get that. I don't like him. I don't think if I could choose another Speaker of the House, I would. I'm not a fan of his. He's from Ohio. But the thing is he's really good at what he does. He's done a good job at keeping his people. And there's been some defection, some questioning here and there, but I just don't see them being able to muster it up. And no offense, and look, I mean, Louis Gohmert, I'm sure he's a great guy, but Louis Gohmert for the Speaker of the House? I mean, I could think of. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
I mean, it's
Matt, I mean, we could shrug off Louis Gohmert as much as we want, but you're sitting here in defense of a man who, at the drop of a hat, becomes a blubbering mess.
Well, I'm not defending him. I'm not saying that I want him to be.
No, I'm not. I know, but to say, oh yeah, he's bad, but there's just nobody else. No, there are other people.
There are other people. Yes, I'm just saying Louis Gohmert is not that other person.
But we're comparing. Look, if you're going to put Louis Gohmert up against John Boehner, I'll take Louis Gohmert, every day of the week, twice on Sunday. Every day of the week, twice on Sunday. Because honestly, I know that Louis Gohmert is a likable person. Number one, he doesn't have to be a blubbering crybaby on TV and make a fool of us. Number two, number three, he wouldn't be the type of guy who would say, okay, I see that there's a faction in my party that doesn't want me to be speaker anymore. Let me do everything I can to not appease them and make sure I piss them off more. Now, that's what Boehner does on a consistent basis. We have been kicking the can down the road since 2008. We've been kicking the can down the road on every single issue after we took the House, and now we have the Senate as well, and we're still kicking the can, and we have a whole entire year of 2015 that we cannot touch appropriations because of stupid deals that they sealed in before our new guys take place. They could have done a shorter continuing resolution, but they chose not to. This is what leadership did. They chose to make this fracture in the party. Now, I can't say in any, without lying, I can't say that Louis Gohmert would put us in that position when I know Boehner would. I can't
First of all, I don't know what you have against men that are sensitive. Okay, I'm just kidding. Joe is a very sensitive man. He cries often. So
this is the part where if Caleb were talking, he would mention the fact that I have watched several seasons of Project Runway and seen every episode of Gilmore Girls and Grey's Anatomy. Just throwing that out there.
Oh my God! I didn't even know
Typical
that
millennial.
you watch Grey's Anatomy. What is wrong with you?
There's a
He's
very
a millennial. He's a millennial. That's all you got to say. Hashtag millennial.
I'm a millennial with a lot of issues. Let's say that.
Yes, yeah, I could say that. Yeah, I see where you're coming from, Aaron, and I understand, but it's just if you were to bring out, and I haven't done a really study of like who would be the right person, who could come in and jump in there, but I mean, I don't know. Do I want? Like I said, I want Boehner gone, but I just would like to find somebody who's just kind of a little bit more balanced. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
see, but here's the thing. Why do we want someone balanced in leadership? Are we trying to lead ourselves to the center? Are we trying to lead ourselves more towards the Democrats?
No, I'm not talking about balances in that. I'm talking about balances in being able to. You're going to have to be able to talk to your more closer to the moderate Republicans, and you know what I'm saying. And Boehner's too far moderate.
Well, no, but look, what I'm asking you is what in Louis Gohmert's playbook would have you concerned that we'd have a shedding of Republicans from voting yes on his deals?
Look,
That's what I'm asking. What tactic? What are we putting out there? What are conservatives putting out there that's so extreme that Republicans won't vote for it in the House?
It's not a matter of voting record, whatever Louis Gohmert's voting record is. The fact that we don't know how he is in terms of we don't know what goes on in the back rooms with him. We don't know how he would work with two different facts.
But the thing is you don't know that about anybody until they're in there. You honestly don't.
Well, you know more about those that are in a little bit leadership positions. You're right. So, are we going to say Scalise for Speaker of the House? I'm just kidding. I'm totally
No.
If the guy is the Republican Party.
Yeah, if Scalise becomes Speaker of the House,
that would be best troll.
Pack it in. Pack it all in. We're all done. We're all done.
Wait, think about that as a troll move to the Democrats, though.
You want the ultimate troll move? You nominate Dick Cheney as Speaker of the House. Pam.
Dick Cheney. Well, he and Obama are related, so that would bring a new family dynamic into the vetoes that would occur.
Or one of the Koch brothers. That would be even better.
Yeah, one of the Koch brothers. Well, yeah, that would be interesting. So now I think we've played this one out for a little bit. We've all taken it here, and I just want to see Louis Gohmert become Speaker so that he can start photobombing people more, and the media will pick it up, and it'll be awesome. I think that's really the biggest benefit for the nation, is more photobombs of Louis Gohmert.
Yeah, I do. I think he's fun. I think he's funny, and he's very engaging. I think he's a good guy. I don't know him well enough. I see the only stuff I see is kind of like, it just doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Well, not to go way off subject, but I mean, I think that's often an issue with, and pardon the expression, a lot of the more establishment-friendly pundits or rhino pundits, whatever people want to call them. I don't consider you a rhino or anybody else a rhino, really. I think that's a stupid term, but for the most part, well, aren't we all?
Rhino pundit, one of my favorite Twitter users.
But I think there's often this knee-jerk reaction of whoever the conservative side is lifting up. It's no, we can't do that. That's and it's gosh, I hate to say it, man, but it seems like it all comes from a place of fear. It's so risk averse, and honestly, we're not gonna get there if we remain risk averse as a party. We're not gonna fix anything, and we're already talking about doing fixes to Obamacare that will make it work. And hell, I don't want it to work. I don't want to buy insurance from the government. I don't want to have the government knowing what insurance. I don't even want there to be a requirement that I buy insurance.
Why do you hate old people?
Well, because they've lived so long and know so much, and they keep telling me that they don't want this.
We're getting there, though.
Right, but I am getting there. It's true. I'm getting older every day. That's how it works. But I don't understand this knee-jerk reaction, and I think that's the real division. I think the ideological division is much smaller than people make it out to be, and I think for the most part, it's most people don't know the conservatives in the House. Most people don't know the conservatives in the Senate. They just have this idea of what a conservative is, and they're afraid of it. They're afraid that we're going to lose if we put that front and center, and I think that's where people err. That's where our side errs. So why don't we go ahead and just take a quick pause for a minute, and we're going to just have a little segment here where we're going to have a pause for an ad that can go up. We're going to be right back with you. If Caleb will go ahead and present the show graphic for us while that's happening, we can take our quick break and come right back. If Caleb can do that. It's all on Caleb Howe's shoulders right now.
If ifs were fifths, we'd all be drunk.
Oh, he's totally not ready. So we're just going to go ahead and press on. All right, let's go ahead and go into what was supposed to be our last segment, the New York Police Department. Now, ever since the Eric Garner case and the Ferguson incident, and basically the election of Mayor de Blasio, in New York, there's been a little, pot of water on the back of the stove sitting there simmering, and it's starting to boil over. And with all the animosity that has grown between the police, the city hall, and the people in certain areas of New York, we have our friend Matt here to give us some insight into the world of police officers, law enforcement, and the war, as some are calling it, on the cops. So that's the short setup for that. Let me go to Matt to give us a little bit longer setup. So Matt, I want you to give our viewers just a simple, in 30 to 45 seconds, sit rep how you see it in New York right now. What's going on?
Okay. Well, I just really small background. I was in law enforcement sheriff's office for 7 years. I've been through a lot of training. I was a training instructor. I've gone through DT school. I've done special. We do these probe teams. It's basically emergency response and whatnot and all that stuff. My brother was a police officer. My dad was 30 years detective. Law enforcement family, third generation. Grandfather was chief. Basically, the way I see New York Police Department, and after watching today, I knew that it was bad. I knew that it was a bad. The police officers had a bad taste in their mouth with Bill de Blasio, but it is really bad. It's toxic now, and it's not just like you would think. It's not white cops. It's every cop, and I think that the problem is, and people are like, well, how does he not have their back? You don't understand. You have to understand when law enforcement. I was talking about this the other day. There's this level where you have to have some sort of reassurance from your people above you. I give that, because we're constantly making these decisions that could affect our career. That could, we make one mistake, and going to IA is the most stressful thing in the world. And you constantly make these, decisions that could be life or death, or they could be your career or not. And you need some reassurance from the people above you. I was a supervisor, and I supervised many deputies and recruits, and I taught recruits. And I'd always tell them, I said, you come to me if you have a really big question, and I'll give you, help you, whatever. It just seems like the structure there, even the captains, we call the brass, the higher ups, they don't have any faith in the mayor, and it's gotten just really, really toxic, and it's bad. And I don't think that when you don't trust the people that are running things, the ones that are supposed to have your back, the ones you're enforcing their laws. If you don't feel like they have your back, you're kind of like, what am I doing here? Because what if this happens, and if people don't think that the mayor has their back, people they'll think that, like, I won't. I'll second guess the decision I make, and that could cost somebody's life. I'll second guess, what I'm going to do, what I'm going to stop. I'll question, maybe I shouldn't stop this person. What if I shoot this person, and then the mayor says, police officers, black people should be afraid of police officers. I question whether I do this, and that split-second decision causes me to get another officer killed or whatnot. And I think that when you have that small seed of doubt when it comes to law enforcement, it grows faster than anybody knows, and people don't understand that. And when I grew up in a law enforcement family, and you can see that if you don't have constant support with the people beside you and the people above you, it's really hard to make these important decisions.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I could definitely understand that. You are, every day, there is highly likely that one interaction that a police officer gets into is there's going to be a choice there that's a life or death choice, either for himself or the person he's interacting with. And how those choices go down are going to be impacted on whether or not the people above you have that faith in you. Now, one thing I want to say, the response that the police have had, I'm not sure I totally agree with it. As you probably know, Leon Wolf from RedState, he's written a little bit about this, and some of the stats that have come out from New York are troubling. Some of the stats and the decrease in stops for drug arrests and things of that nature. Now, public urination, I don't really, it's blight, it's a problem, and if you let it get out of control, as a matter of respect, it becomes an issue, because earning that respect back it takes a much larger effort than losing it ever did. I don't want New York to have to go through and clean the hookers out of Times Square again, so to speak. But that is possibly something that could happen if we see the police do the blue flu, so to speak. And now, some of it I do believe is justified, but at the extent of where they have taken it at this point, I have issues with it, because I'm seeing reports that this year actually deaths for officer-involved shootings where the officer is the one who gets shot are lower than they've been in a long time. Now, I've heard a lot of hype about there being a war on police, and I just don't know whether or not I buy it. So, Matt, can you tell me on balance, how much of this that the New York Police Department is doing is justified, and how much of it is going to lead to more issues in the future for them?
People, they judge the war on police officers by the statistics of police officers getting shot. And I had this long discussion with my father about this, and we were kind of, it's kind of hard to have this discussion at odds with him because he's old school. So he's like, you don't know what it was like back in 1976. And I'm like, you don't know what it's like. So I think we reached a medium here. And I think that the compromise is this, it was bad back then because you didn't have the communication that you did. You couldn't be able to get in contact with just anybody. But the flip side of that is it's bad because of that, because everybody has a cell phone camera. Everybody's on social media, and everything you're doing is being scrutinized under the microscope, and it's always somebody in your face, or I'm going to tell my moms, I'm going to call me, I'm going to tell this, I'm going to take a I'm going to take a picture of you, and you have all this scrutiny, and you've got these people that are higher up, like the mayor, like maybe the commissioner, that they don't want to be, crap runs downhill. If you're going to fire a police officer. It's hard to fire a police officer, but you're going to put it dependent on a low-level police officer before you're a captain. You're going to take it on yourself. So I think that the war is not really a war. I do think that there's this culture of not liking police officers, and it's on both sides of the aisle. This is not like a one-aisle issue. We saw it with Texas, and we've seen it with New York and Ferguson. I think that there's this culture where when they don't see police officers saving people, say during like the Boston Marathon or during 9/11, if they don't see this all the time, they forget that the police officers put their lives and do all this stuff for them for nothing. It's not really for the pay because they don't get paid anything, to be honest with you. And I think that people sometimes forget that and think that police officers are only out to get them. And I think, there are bad police officers. You're going to have bad people no matter where you go. But they're outnumbered, and it's hard. Now, you say this as many times as you want, but nobody's going to shed the light on the good police officers. You're only going to see the light shed on the bad ones because they're going to be the examples. And I think that's the only culture we have, but that hasn't really changed as 20 years ago.
I think the main point that people need to remember, and this is for anything, there are no groups. There really aren't. There may be a lot of individuals who do a certain thing, but there are no collective groups that have a collective will and act a collective way. They're all made up of individuals. Every single cop is an individual. Every single sheriff's deputy is an individual. There's going to be some who went into this to be a servant to the community, and there's going to be some who went into this because they're, rah-rah, think they're tough guy, and there's going to be some who went into this
high school.
that were picked in high school and want to, inflict authority on somebody else. It just is what it is. It's life, and we need to deal with that. Now, with that, though, we do put police officers. We trust police officers with more rights than we do your average citizen. We give them the right to adjudicate law for us on the streets, so that we're not out there in the wild, wild west, all shooting and tackling and doing all this stuff on our own. Now, with that, we give you guys benefit of the doubt to an extent. Now, Leon brings up a good point on his show this week. He asked it, in the incidents where there are police who are involved in shootings and a person dies and they're indicted, those indictments don't even end up with a conviction most of the time. So I guess, again, the question is, how have we gone too far and given too much trust to cops in general and forgotten that we need to be having human respect first, and that cops' respect is a secondary issue to that? Joe, let me go to you on that, actually. You were watching Project Runway, weren't you?
No, Grey's Anatomy. Anyway, I guess I see it kind of from both sides. Back in my hometown a few years back, there was a race for sheriff, and there was the incumbent sheriff who's done a phenomenal job. And there was a guy running against him who was an investigator for the DA's office. Now, this guy was, for the years leading up to that race, was cutting very lenient deals with guys who deserved time in prison in order to get their support and their family support. And what I saw from law enforcement in that particular area, and I don't know, I can't say it happens everywhere, but from what I know and my friends and everybody that I've talked to there, just as much politics can undercut police officers and law enforcement to the point where they really lose a lot of morale in what they're doing. There are child molesters loose in Natchitoches Parish, Louisiana, because a guy wanted votes in an election.
Scalise had a conference with them just last night.
And for the record, I'm not a constituent of Steve Scalise. I am a constituent of Charles Boustany, who has the worst record when it comes to voting for Israel of any Republican in the House. Anyway, so
you're in Louisiana. Nobody cares.
I know. We have no good representatives in the House. It's awful. Anyway, so politics, whether it's Bill de Blasio, whether it's Barack Obama, whether it's Eric Holder, Al Sharpton, whether it is an investigator for the DA's office cutting deals that are putting bad guys back out on the streets just so they get financial and public support later, I'm sure it's probably very demoralizing for law enforcement when they see their work being undone. And I'm sure that when you have that kind of demoralization going on, yeah, arrests, morale, things like that are all going to suffer. And I think that is a big thing that maybe we're not looking at so much, is where's the morale at right now with leadership of these guys acting the way they are.
And Matt, back to you on this. How do you think? How do you balance the question of where the morale's at versus where the public's at? I don't think anybody's at this point is saying that de Blasio's good. I think he's getting crap from pretty much all sides, all the reasonable sides, I'll say. But where do you think the balance is for the New York Police Department? How far do they take this on a morale issue?
It's tough. I mean, it's really hard to judge how that's going to work out. It just seems like they don't have any faith. And I told somebody earlier that I don't know how I know that when you have bad culture when you have bad culture in a department, it can ruin it. And I don't know what it's like in that department, because every department handles it differently. It's a huge department. I mean, NYPD is massive, and they're tough. I mean, everybody knows NYPD's. Everybody knows NYPD stuff. I don't know if we were going to talk about this in the next segment about the funeral today, but just like watching today, I think that you see the frustration that they're starting to have, and it's boiling over. And why don't you go ahead and we're going to go into that next. So why don't you go ahead and say for our viewers kind of what happened in the funeral and everything, so everyone's caught up, and we'll go on to that subject there. Okay, well, like last week, they had the memorial. As everybody knows, you had the Sea of Blue, had all the officers, and they turned their back whenever de Blasio spoke. Well, this weekend, we had the viewing, and they had the funeral today. And the widow had even asked, please don't turn the back. She had said, we don't want to have any exercising or protest or anything like that. But a lot of the officers did turn their back when de Blasio spoke. Only when de Blasio spoke. Now, unlike... I don't think that it's, disgraceful or, shameful or disgusting. Those words are harsh. And now all day I've been called a fascist because I had some tweet that was put up on one of our, websites that aggregates tweets, and I had my tweet that said, I wasn't.
You can say the name of that website.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, yeah, they're owned by our parent company Salem, so it's completely.
Anyways,
headline writers in the game.
What's that?
Best headline writers in the game.
And so I had one put up there that basically said I wasn't a fan of what they did, and I've been called fascist, and I hate freedom of speech all day long. So that's been interesting, but I think that the reasoning behind mine is because, first of all, the widow asks you to do something, you honor the widow's request. It's a family. It's number one. Number two, I can see the memorial, but this is a funeral. Okay, put the protest aside. We know how you feel. Trust me. We all know. I think very few of us.
Save it for the wake.
Exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. Save it. I mean, we all know you're protesting, but this is a funeral. He's being laid to rest. Let's honor him. Let's face him. Let's give him every respect. You know what's even worse than turning your back on de Blasio? Staring at him and giving him the dirtiest look you could possibly give him while he's speaking. Like, not even caring what he has to say, because you're looking at him and he's having to look at you, and he's looking in your face and he knows that you don't like him.
My basic train of thought in situations like these, my rule of thumb is, if the Westboro Baptist Church would do it, I'm not gonna. Yes. And that's how I feel about that. I mean, I think that I try to give police officers a lot of leeway because, I was in the military, and then I had a lot of friends who went into local law enforcement and whatnot, and I respect them. They're all good guys for the most part. So I try not to get mad at them too often, but that I thought was a classless act, and I thought it was childish, honestly.
I think they're angry. I think they're angry. I get that. I can see that they're frustrated and they're really upset. But I've said all day, and I've been just annoyed. Well, I've been peppered with little comments.
It's okay to be angry, but make sure you don't display it and look angsty.
There's
nothing worse than an angsty teen being a little crybaby.
Yeah, stompy foot. And there's a time and place for it. And obviously, I think number two is fine. Number two is a strong argument against doing it. But number one, the fact that the widow said not to, that should have ended it right there. If the widow says that we don't want it, you end it. It's her husband that died. I understand it's your brothers, but it's her family. Honor them. If you're truly his brother in blue, you're going to honor the family first.
Absolutely. I think you're 100% right there. Now, we ran through all of our subjects pretty quick here this evening for some reason. I think I'm going to blame it on LaDuke not being here, because he usually stops me from speaking so quickly and gets in there with an interesting question. Joe, you're failing me. That's all I got to say. You're failing.
All right, let me throw this out there. What does it say about the fact that there is such a demoralization in our police force right now and in our military from the people who are supposed to be leading them? We have this across the spectrum, federal to local level, where the guys who are in charge, basically of public safety, are feeling demoralized because there is no leadership or extremely negative leadership toward them, toward the people that they technically work for. What does it say about where we are right now as a country?
I would honestly say that 6 years of Alinskyeites running this country, it shouldn't be that surprising that the system is being overwhelmed, because that's what their intent is. That's what their drive is. They want to return us to a more base nature. They want to return us all to the jungle and enslave us, have themselves be in charge of all of us inhabitants of the jungle. So they need to overwhelm the system to destroy the system. I think that this is one of the many ways that that's done.
And see, that's the problem, because at the jungle there's supposed to be fun and games, and that's not what we're getting.
Yeah.
No, we're just all on our knees.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to it. Welcome to it.
We're just waiting for us to bleed.
So, didn't we also have something else we were supposed to talk about, Matt? We were supposed to talk about Portuguese surfing.
Oh, yeah, those idiots. Oh, no. We're just going to talk about those idiots interrupting people's brunch.
The what?
The idiots that were interrupting fellow liberals' brunch this morning, which was quite humorous. The whole brunch issue incident.
I missed that.
You missed the brunch?
I missed
This
the
is why we
brunch.
have Caleb, who's supposed to be here and tell us all this. Black brunch.
Black Brunch NYC. Hashtag Black Brunch.
Basically,
yeah.
these people, these groups came in and like protested, and they were tweeting all these things like, these white people are feeling uncomfortable because we're in here protesting. We don't care. They can get out of here. We're gonna make them feel uncomfortable while they're having brunch. The irony is that they're coming in and protesting at a New York City restaurant where white liberal elitists are eating brunch, because all of us are still at church. We don't go to brunch. We usually go to, and so it's these people, they're protesting their own friends, and it's so funny to see the faces. They're all like, they don't know how to react. Like, do I stand up? It was just really funny. And
I see. There was a Twitchy post I see, and it looks like they had some good stuff on there. So if anybody wants the Twitchy post, you should look up Black Brunch Protest Confronts Whites with Complicity in Genocide. That's beautiful. It's look at all these these little hipsters. Oh, they're so cute.
And see, the best part about it is that we've reached peak liberalism, where now, like, all the liberal groups are turning on each other. Like, de Blasio's turning on the media for reporting all the crap that's going on in New York. And the anti-racism guys are going against the non-church liberals who are going to brunch, and it's fantastic.
It's going to get really messy when the transgenders go after themselves.
It is. The transgenders will go against the cross-dressers. Oh no, the transgenders will go against the transsexuals because they are taking it too. They're now part of the enemy because they actually fix themselves or whatever. It's going to happen.
It's going to be but none of them will fire a weapon. It's going to be just like this incredible slap fight. No one will die.
The one South Park scene where Eric Cartman runs into a church and yells "cripple fight." That's what we're all watching right now. We're watching the little cripple fight.
That is it.
Can I just add one more story real quick? The one that's come out over the past couple of days about how, like, half the people who have received subsidies for Obamacare may and probably will owe money to the IRS because they were given too much in subsidies.
Wow.
Yeah, who the hell?
Check this out. On that same note, check this out. So last year at this time, I was working on a campaign, and I don't know if y'all know this, but campaigns, they don't give you health insurance. Okay, that's just a little tip for y'all out there. So I'm working on this campaign, and it was for almost no money. I mean, literally, like, no money. And I got 3 kids, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to go ahead and sign up for something in the interim that's cheap. So I go and I try Colorado's healthcare thing. Not a damn thing on there that I could afford. So we actually tried to sign my kids up for Medicaid. And we got approved for 2 out of my 3 kids. And we never used it because I ended up getting this job, and it came with excellent health care. Thank you very much, Salem. And now I can't get the kids off. We've never used the Medicaid for these kids. We've never done a single thing with them, and they won't let me get my kids off of this Medicaid. So my kids now somehow have 2 insurances, one through Medicaid and one that I pay for every day.
That's amazing.
But no subsidies, so I should be good.
Yeah. So, but I think that's just phenomenal how we get these wonderful stories. There's no possible way anything that conservatives said leading up to and in the years after Obamacare, no way that's going to happen. And then a story comes out, and that's exactly what happens. And, it's not as bad as you think. And it turns out, yeah, it is.
It's worse. It's worse in many ways, and that's the kicker.
Matthew Hops, the 82nd. How about you?
82nd. I mean, I think that it all sucks. Burn it all to the ground. That's just me.
Let's just start over.
I'm an anarchist, and I saw the Cowboys won, so I'm just like in an extra feisty mood right now. Nonsense. I just tweeted out that this is nonsense because Obama said the Lion, the Detroit, was roaring back, and that's just a load of crap. We'll lose to the Cowboys. race. Chris Christie was there.
It's probably his fault.
Yeah, he probably blocked.
Who did he hug?
Yeah, what traffic lanes did he block? What running lanes?
That's what I want to know, exactly.
He probably hugged Jerry Jones.
He probably did. Did. You can't trust that guy. And, look at this. We have with us now one Caleb Howe.
He combed his hair.
He combed his hair, put on his glasses, shaved his terrorist beard. He's looking good.
I had to put the glasses on in order to read your chats.
Excellent. So
comes blind.
Are you gonna give us a rundown of how we did? Are you gonna be the Andy Levy to
our
Red Eye?
How Andy Levy would do the halftime report on Red Eye. This is like totally not a ripoff of that, but it's because I'm doing it at the end. Otherwise, pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Aaron, you said you hate calling it hashtag, but you would be mocked for calling it $. Is that what you said? That's like saying you hate calling it a cell phone but you would be mocked for calling it a talky, voicey, ringy thingy. Of course you would be mocked. It's called a hashtag. $. Is lame.
But it is a $sign as well.
Talky, voicey, ringy thingy later.
Hey, Aaron, if it makes you feel better, my grandmother agrees with you.
That's right.
She's a saint.
Matt, our good guest Matt, you said that if we drop everyone that the left called racist, then we wouldn't have a party at all. Do you mean like the Republican Party? Or are you just saying like there ain't no party like a racist party? Because a racist party don't stop oppressing minorities. Is that what you meant?
I'm in Cartersville, Georgia. No comment.
I see. That's going
probably for the best.
KK file. Quick question: when you guys say Bridenstine, am I the only person that thinks of the Bride of Frankenstein?
No.
Yes.
That guy should be wearing that wig like 24/7. I mean, what a great brand!
I think it would make him more effective.
All right, and Aaron, you said you would take Gomert twice on Sunday.
I don't even want to know what's going on here.
First of all, I think you should keep that information private. And also, FYI, oh my God, it's Gomert, not Gomer.
Whatever.
Okay?
He's not French.
He's not Stephen Colbert.
And I thought.
And also, just
I've been
for the
saying
record,
it that way forever, and I can't correct myself at this point. I'm sorry.
It's pundit, not pundunt. And for the record, it's GIF, not GIF. Sorry, that's how to speak American.
I say GIF. I say GIF. I was right on that one.
Stomped on the punchline. You are the worst host.
Pretty much.
I said that's how to speak American, Francois.
Francois. Got it.
And also, Joe, it's de Blasio, not de Blasio. Come on.
That's right. De Blasio. Are you making a marijuana joke there, Joe?
I know you like stuff that's flaming, but...
Whoa. Has anyone ever seen Joe's wife?
Yeah, she's on Chris Lee.
Why would you laugh? That's so messed up.
Matt, you say you want a Koch brother for Speaker of the House?
Would that be Obama? Oh.
Matt, you said you wanted a Koch brother for the Speaker of the House?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. Anyways, yeah, sure, Koch brother would be good.
I lost my place now.
Did you?
Oh yeah. Well, can you tell us what it's like taking blood money for selling out humanity, you savage?
Are you asking me or Aaron?
Yeah. You disgust me with your Koch brother paychecks until I get one, and then.
Well, yeah, you'll like it when you get one. Wait, that sounds bad. Can we edit that out?
No.
We don't edit, especially you.
This is live.
Matt, also
for all our viewers.
You say cops don't do it for the money. I also don't blog for the money, and you can read what I said about cops at rabblewriter.com. Exactly the thing, but not
well played, sir.
Oh, that was perfect.
Aaron, do you know what all means?
All?
Yes. Do you know what the word all means?
Everything?
Because you said that they are all good guys for the most part. Are they all good guys, or is it for the most part? Or are you saying all of them are mostly good?
All of them are mostly good, and most of them are a little bad.
Where do you fall on that spectrum?
Mostly good.
Only his hairdresser knows. Also,
that's
Aaron, that transgender turning on themselves line was horribly offensive and hilarious.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I invoked your spirit when I said it.
Two things that usually go together. Yeah, two things that usually go together.
You both need to keep your cis hetero patriarchal oppression in check.
Yeah.
It's easier to type. That's sad.
I wish the patriarchy was as
And then finally, I wanted to know what is the poster over your shoulder there, Matt?
Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid movie poster.
Nice. Mine, obviously.
Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness.
Bruce Campbell.
It's Westerns month. That's why I asked. It's Westerns month on cable, so they're doing. Last night I rewatched. I don't know, 6 Westerns I haven't seen since I was a kid.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned this. Because,
but Butch Cassidy wasn't one of them.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Westerns because our next episode of Cinematic Snobs with me and Jay Caruso is actually going to be airing this week. And we've got Leon Wolf coming on, and we're going to be doing top 5 Westerns.
Oh, Leon doesn't know anything
about
about
I watched
movies.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly yesterday. I forgot at the end of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, the standoff. That is like the longest standoff. I don't just mean like in movie history. I mean like in history. Like of all time. No 3 people have ever stood and stared at each other for that long in all of human history.
Have you ever seen the Twilight movies?
And they caught it on film. You should ask Joe.
So he took heckling to a new level then, you say?
You know what? I watched High Plains Drifter, and I watched it, and I haven't watched it in a while. I was like, wow, this is a really misogynistic movie. I mean, Clint Eastwood basically drags her into a barn, and he does not care. And everybody's like, well, you put yourself in that position, lady.
Hey, you ought to watch Paint Your Wagon.
He's like, baby, it's cold outside.
Exactly. I mean, he went straight, I mean, like, Bill Clinton style. Like, he was just, come on, baby. Just grabbed her.
It's those blurred lines.
Yeah, so tune in to our new project. It's going to be fun.
Pop culture references.
Hey,
boom, boom, boom.
Speaking of tuning in, Matt, why don't you go ahead and give us not only your Twitter account again, why don't you go ahead and give us the 405's Twitter?
Okay, mine is at MattHops82, AMATTHOPS 82. Hops is not my last name. The 405 Radio is at the 405 Radio. Monday nights at 9 p.m., me and Beckett Adams from Washington Examiner do a show. We've been doing it actually for over a year now, which is insane that we've been doing it that long. Great having a show with him. And coming up on Wednesday nights, and it'll be published on Thursdays, I believe, is me and Jay Caruso, our new thing. You can reach us at Cinematic Snobs every other week. And sometimes we try to do it every week, but most of the time every other week. We do a top 5 list, whether it's movie genre or type of movie character. So you tune into that, and it's a lot of fun. We post them on iTunes.
And what's your one resolution for the new year?
To not have any resolutions.
Excellent resolution. I like that one. Joe?
Drink more.
Joe, go ahead and start off with your resolution, and then let the people know where they can find you as we wrap up the show.
My resolution is 1080p, and I am...
That's so stupid.
And you can find me on Twitter at Josie_Esquire. And...
So stupid.
And you can also find later this week on RedState a post about just how amazing and amazingly American the Battle of New Orleans was, which is hitting its 200-year anniversary coming up this week.
Excellent, excellent. And Caleb, our producer, the man behind the scenes for me, where can the people find you, and what is, other than the Rabble Rider, since you already got that plug in, and what is your resolution for the new year?
So I already said the Rabble Rider one about Rabble Rider?
Yeah, once or twice.
Where I write it, Rabble Rider. All right.
Right.
Truth Revolt, Red State, Twitter, under my name, Caleb Howe. That's CALEB. And my resolution is to get people to go to rabblewriter.com.
Excellent, excellent. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. My name's Aaron Gardner. I'm the managing editor of RedState.com. This has been the Red State Weekly Briefing. I want to thank Matt for coming on the show with us. It was a lot of fun. Joe and Caleb, thanks for all your work. You did great. I'll probably kill you in the morning. As far as my resolution for the year is to quit caring so much that all of you are wrong. So with that, you can find me on Red State and Twitter at Aaron_RS. Y'all have a good evening. Hope Downton Abbey was good. Take care. Bye.
Joe, give us some going out music.
Let it go, let it go.
That was terrible.